last week, Wednesday, Cricket West Indies held what they are calling their quarterly press conference. It was poorly organized, unprofessional, and simply put, it was chaotic and embarrassing. There was no audio. I did not get a chance to ask any question, while some journalists got multiple opportunities to ask questions. I'm not here talking about asking multiple questions. I'm talking about multiple opportunities. What is even more disappointing for me is that Cricket West Indies still have the press conference up on their own page. Someone needs to realize that this is damaging the brand of Cricket West Indies when you have such a disappointing production on your own page. I know that majority of you have not got a chance to hear the press conference. Even if you saw it, you immediately realize that the audio is so poor. A hour or so ago, I checked it just to get some exact quote from Mile Bascom in answering a question. And my, it was such embarrassing. I have selected some part of the press conference to give a review. As you know, it lasted more than an hour, and there's no way I could react to that. I have invited my good friend and expert analyst, Basil Butcher, to join me this morning to react to the press conference. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the number one cricketing channel in the Caribbean. I'm very happy to see you and glad that you are here. Good morning, Basil. Welcome to the show. It has been a while, sir.
Yes, good morning, Carter. Good morning to your viewers. Yes, your internet issues have brought you to a little grinding halt. Thank you. You're back on the highway again.
Yes. Basil, we are going to look at the West Indies press conference as you would have known, but I just want you to take a minute or so and just give me your thoughts on the CPL so far.
The CPL has been interesting. We've had some very exciting games, and then we've had some other games where the team got run over. So it's been entertaining thus far. It's been especially in terms of the hitting, the games that have been played in St. Kitts, because we've had a lot of 200 plus scores there in St. Kitts. We also got our first century of the season. There we could have gotten two because the other guy made 90 odd. And the games in Antigua, the former Jamaica team, which is now the Antigua franchise, losing their first two games down to the last ball. You know, as a cricket fan, that's what you're looking for. Excitement all the way to the end.
Yes, thank you very much, Basil. Yes, we love the excitement that the CPL is generating. And yesterday was a break and it continues this evening at 6 p.m. And we look forward to more excitement. As I said, Basil, Philip Spooner is not my favorite person. I wouldn't have a beer with him.
Mm-hmm.
While I was in Barbados, his actions were disrespectful towards me. He have said a number of things toward me, which I think were unfortunate. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I won't say those things publicly because persons will deny things and then you can find yourself liable.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not someone that I would have a beer with.
Mm-hmm.
However, despite that, when he was in charge of these press conferences, they were more structured, they were more organized, and they were more professional done.
Mm-hmm.
So I am recommending to Slocum that he reach out to someone like Philip Spooner, or probably the West Indies can even invite him back for a 6-month contract, just to lever out the path.
Train up the guy.
For Slocum,
Mm-hmm.
because he did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Professionally, he performed a very good job. And I think that that experience should be used.
Mm-hmm.
But Basil, what overall, we are going to go in depth into this press conference, but overall, what was your general impression of the press conference?
I agreed with what you said at your opening monologue there. I agree with you 100%. It was a most disappointing press conference that the majority of the people who would have been viewing the press conference would have been doing so online. Even the non-journalists, because it was coming over there on the YouTube page. And all the fans were disappointed because you saw the comments in the chat online on the YouTube. I mean, so many people tuned in, and to have a a press conference that there was no audio for most of the press conference, right? And and I asked the question. I asked the question on the chat, when this thing is recorded, are we going to hear all the audio? And the West Indies board person, whoever tech was interacting with us on the chat, said yes, the recording will have all the full audio. That's not so.
And I'm wondering if no one have done any quality control, because you'll realize on the West Indies homepage it moved from the live stream to video. That means that they would have taken down the live stream and uploaded the video, but it is still inaudible. And I'm wondering
Yes.
if after uploading the video, if no one had gone back and do some quality control checks. This is not good for brand West Indies. And I'm just putting it out there. And I hope someone is listening to us as a fan of West Indies cricket,
Mm-hmm.
and someone who wants to see the best for West Indies cricket. What you have on your own page right now as your quarterly press conference need to come down. It is not good. Now, any reaction, Basil?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Well, when the guy, I'm assuming it was a guy, but when the person responded on the chat saying the full audio will be there, I said, great. At least we will get to hear everything that was said, or whatever questions were asked. We, the public, will get to hear. And then when I went back to the recording, I said, this was, I was so disappointed because this was the experience I went through on the live press conference, and then have to repeat it on the recording. So, and I know that you're telling me that this is the same recording they have put on their website. That some checks and balances need to be done there, because that should never have gone up on the website if it's the same recording that we saw on YouTube following the press conference.
Yes, and they did not release it to journalists. Generally, they would release the recording to the journalists so that the media can edit it and use clippings from it. They did not do it this time. I wanted to ask these questions at the press conference, and as I said, I did not get a chance to ask these questions. And I had more questions, but I wanted to know how many spectators attend the three T20 internationals in Trinidad
Mm-hmm.
at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy. And I wanted to know, to compare those numbers with how many attend the three matches in Jamaica in May.
Mm-hmm.
I also wanted to ask Cricket West Indies that in recent times, 5 West Indies squads have been selected and there were no press conference. I want to know if this was a change in policy and if this is the position of the current director of cricket, Mile Bascom. Because in the past, when Jimmy Adams were there, and I'm not getting Jamaica now, it's
Right,
just
right. No, no,
facts.
no, no. Jimmy just
After every team selected, even a female under 19 team, there was a press conference.
Mm-hmm.
The other question I want to ask them is that the players who are on retainer and are not at the CPL, what are they doing during this time? What is the program that have been given to them? The other question that I wanted to ask, and this one came up in the press conference, and we'll speak about it more, is that when somebody asked him about the selection of certain players, he went ahead and said these players will soon be back in the squad. But then that leads me to the pathway. And this, Basil, I want you to take us through it, because this pathway shows that the head coach is the one who makes the final decision. So for Bascom to be said in a press conference that certain players will surely be back in the team shortly. Um, it's confusing. Please take us through this talent pathway first, Basil.
Well, you have at the top the head coach, who is going to be the person picking teams. The person they call the senior talent manager, that is the person who is going to be. Well, let me jump over the senior talent manager to the territorial talent ID. They're going to have six people they're going to be contracting, which means in each territory, right? Those 6 people will be integrated with the local selection network, i.e., the franchise and maybe other selection networks within that territory, to be able to get um, you know,
The information, the data on the player.
about the
Yes.
players, right?
Right.
And as well as the technical people from CWI, those are the people with the data and so on. Now that information is going to be funneled, all that information from each of those people will be funneled to the senior talent manager, who will collate that and provide that information to the head coach in making the decision. The head coach making the decision. Obviously, you would think the head coach will be gleaning from the captain also in making a final decision, but the final decision and the person picking the team is the head coach.
So basically, then this local, like, let's look at Jamaica. So the
Right.
Jamaican coach and head coach, the Jamaican assistant coach and coach, he
Yes.
will say to the territorial ID talent manager, whatsoever the name is, I have 2 youth in a Jamaica and a CWI, need to look at them. Basically, that's it. And it goes for all the regions.
Yeah, and also probably like this too. Um, uh, and I can use Guyana as an example. In Guyana, you would have those 2 coaches just like everywhere else, but then you also, I would hope that talent ID person will integrate themselves also with the 3 counties, because we got these 3 counties who have county boards, and they have a selection panel that pick county teams, right? So they have that's another level of people that you could integrate with, because as we all know, we don't have a professional approach to selection in the region. There's often a lot of friends and family favoritism that occurs, that hopefully this talent ID person will be able to break that up. So when he or she gets information from the local level about a player, as a talent ID person, all right, this player is doing XYZ. And then you're not seeing this player coming up at the next level, but the player is performing. So now you got to ask the question, what is the issue with player X? I was told player X has had XYZ performances. Why am I not seeing player X at the next level, etc., etc.? But the thing about this, Carlton, this structure, this system is I have no problems with it. Here are the 2 issues. One, do we have the trained personnel to be at every stop in this system? Trained/qualified personnel. 2, how is the accountability going to work? Because that is the overriding theme you heard at the press conference about you'll be able to hold the coach accountable, etc., etc. How does this accountability work? So for example, now Coach X picks teams. Coach X sign 2-year contract, for example. Let me say the coach X signed a 2-year contract. And in the first year, Coach X picking teams and the teams not performing at all. Are you going to fire Coach X? Because this would mean, generally, and depending how the contracts will be crafted, let me say you're still going to owe Coach X for 1 more year, but you got to hire a new coach. So essentially, you'll be paying 2 coaches, at least for a year, right? Are you going to be, just like you're talking about the football, how the football teams, the manager pick the players and so on and so forth, and you would see coaches, managers / coaches get fired within 3 months, right, of their contract. Are you, that was a question with this accountability that I heard. I would have hoped that one of the journalists would have brought that question to bear as well about this, the training or qualification of people, because this is a radical change in our this is like an earthquake went through West Indies cricket.
Is it now, Basil, that the Jamaican coach and assistant coach, because they will be integral to forward the players who they recommend, along with the contracted personnel in each territory, because apart from their coach and the assistant coach, there will also be CWI contracted technical persons in each territory. Are those personnel are going to under pressure to recommend someone from their territory, even if they don't think that person reached the threshold, reached the standard?
Well, no, I'm gonna glean from because when I did level Cricket Australia level 3, we were introduced to their scouting system, which they took the principles from the Boston Red Sox baseball team. So, for example, you would have ways how you assess a batter, a bowler, fielder, quick keeper, and so on. And you got all these categories in which you different aspects of batting. For example, you would assess, and then on a sliding scale, 1 being lowest, 5 being highest. All it would say like something like, is this batter? How does this batter get off a strike? Does this batter does this batter able to bat long, and all those various things, right? So you have an objective way where everybody are looking at these players. So, for example, if a guy, as the example you put forward, if a guy put this batter gets off strike and he put a 5, but when you watch the scorebook, the man bat 50 balls and 40 were dot balls. Obviously, he is playing friends and family. You will be found out if you have a really objective system, because no, you can't just say, oh, I like a guy. No, there's no like a guy. We got some objective empirical measurement metrics to measure and categories to assess the player, that we all looking at the same thing.
Following on from that, Basil, a journalist who belongs to the Player CC club, because clearly he wasn't really asking the question as a journalist, because I thought that was a very poor question from a journalist. So that's why I said that he clearly from the Player CC club. He cited Ruston Chase 1 match. In fact, he tried to come across as if Ruston Chase played more than 1 game in the regional 4-day tournament last year.
Right.
If the audio was available and you listen to him, you'll see like he's tried to position it as if Chase played more than 1 game. He think that by Ruston Chase playing 1 game and making a century, although he averages 25 in Test cricket, it's not that this is a new man, It's a man who played probably, 50 odd Test matches?
Close to that, probably. I don't know exactly number.
And average 25.
Yes.
That after 1 century, that man should be back in the in the test team.
Right, right, right.
But what's shocking when Mile Bascom answered is that he appears to agree with the person. And he also mentioned Shea Hope and he mentioned Brandon King as three persons who he think that will be in the test team sooner rather than later. If the head coach, Basil, is a person who has the final talk, what led Mile Bascom to make that comment? Is he undermining the head coach?
I don't think he should make such comments at all. He should not be commenting on player selection until after it happens, not before it happens. And that was a misstep on his part. On unless he is usurping the new selection policy, and he is having a say in player X, or maybe there is something in this selection policy where although the head coach picks the players, it has to pass the desk of Mr. Bascom for final approval before being released to the board and to the world.
But I think that's the procedure. You know, the
Yes,
Mile Bascom has to sign off on the squad.
yes, it's always been like that. It's always
Yes,
been.
but what he was saying that this new selection pathway, the coach has the final say because he will be held
Held accountable.
accountable
Mhm.
for how the team perform.
Correct.
Which theoretically I do not have an issue with it.
Mm-hmm.
But then if I am ultimately held accountable for how the team is performing, you have to give me the players that I selected.
Correct.
Yes.
So,
So
so
I don't.
so that's why all I would say that he should not have commented on that at all. That was a big mistake on his part, because you already got a situation where people are questioning this new system, right? You throughout the region, as I said, this new system is like an earthquake through West Indies cricket, because it's something radically, it's a radical shift from what has been traditional way in which we pick teams. And then to top that off, we always have this issue about insularity. And as you raised the issue earlier about would these people get feeling the pressure to recommend somebody from their place and so on and so forth. But the I guess in a way maybe not, because they will be contracted by CWI, so they will not have that allegiance, hopefully, to their local situation.
I have a spanner to throw in the wheel, Basil, and,
Mhm.
and I'm coming to that spanner right now, and it's about Bangladesh Test match coming up in
Right.
Jamaica. And
Mhm.
I'm gonna take the comment on the screen, but I'm gonna put the question for you and give you some time to think about it.
Mhm.
With Bangladesh playing the second match in Jamaica, I think from the 30th of November to the 4th of December,
Mhm.
is there a position where a Jamaican has to be in that test team, and that's why we are hearing about Brandon King and so on? Think about it as I go through some
Uh,
comments here. VMBS Lily saying, I am still waiting for the second semi-final match at okay VMBS Lily. I am I am committed. So let me give some background to that. On Sunday,
uh-huh.
Half Moon Resort in Montego Bay along the Elegant Corridor, one of the very best resort
I
in
I know
Jamaica.
of it. I know of it.
Yeah, or you have been there already.
No, no,
Uh,
no. I've passed it. No, I have not had the pleasure.
yeah, well, you should
Yeah,
go there.
I was told by people who stay there about how luxurious and top of the line it is.
Yes, it's top of the line, one of the oldest hotel, one of the original hotels in
Mhm.
Jamaica. Absolutely top of the line. They have, and they are doing this social engineering. They have contributed to Cornwall Regional Hospitals and SOS Village and so on. So they have organized a community cricket league.
Mhm.
And on Sunday, there were the two semifinals.
Mm-hmm.
So I streamed the first semifinals live.
Mm-hmm.
But as you know, you can't do too much in one day. It's too much, you know.
Yeah.
So but I recorded the second one.
Right.
So VMBS is asking me when I'm going to upload it. But I'm committed to uploading it VMBS, and not the entire match, but I will make sure that I upload all the wickets, all the sixes, and all the magnificent feeling, especially that run out. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
upload it. I know that there was a brilliant ball and caught, and probably persons want to see that too. So I
Right.
am committed to uploading it as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Not the entire video, not the entire match, but all the important aspect of the match.
Mm-hmm.
Sherwin, welcome to the show. Good morning. Athena is saying that greetings, good people. Good morning, Athena. Top of the morning to you, Mr. Casanova. Basil, do you want to take that steep bouncer now? Is there has to be a Jamaican in the West Indies test team when they play that second test match in Bangladesh? Remember what happened in Barbados in 1992.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I don't think Jamaicans are like the Bajans, because all the other territories have had instances where test matches are played. I think I know for Guyana for sure. We've had test matches playing Guyana and no Guyanese was on the team, and we came out in our numbers. I just think that was a Bajan thing that was very unfortunate on their part, to do so. And I would hope that's just a one-off in our cricket history, that instance when what was done over 30 something years ago.
Basil,
Because
one of
here the other question, on what merits would Brandon King be included into this team? Brandon King hasn't played any cricket since the World Cup when he was injured, and prior to that, he got injured also during the first class and was not able to play anymore. Even
and he has
despite
not
that.
yet played for the Antigua and Barbuda Falcons. Now,
Mhm.
but I'm just, I just use Brandon King
Yeah, yeah.
as an example. But is there a way that a Jamaican should be in that test squad? It's left to be seen.
Mm.
Um,
And who are the Jamaicans that you feel have their hands up to be included into the West Indies team at this moment?
well, that is a long discussion, Basil. There's no one that comes to mind right
Right.
away.
Yeah.
The,
Yes.
the only one that I could call right away is and and when I say right away, it's like probably you could have a Pete Salmon instead of the off spinner from Trinidad, Brian Charles.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's on the where I could see someone coming in. They have they want to go for an off spinning option, and you
Mm-hmm.
include Pete Salmons. After all, he got a lot of wickets in
Yeah.
the eh, in the regional 4 day this year. And speaking about regional 4 day, at the press conference, Mile Bascom said they are looking to have home and away matches, and
Mm-hmm.
there are no intention of reducing the 8 teams. So that will be like 14 matches per team.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know persons who are happy for that, but some persons who are not happy for that. They don't think that you should have 14 rounds, probably 10 rounds, and then you have a best of best playing the other 4 rounds or so on. My other thing that I want you to also look at as you address these 2 rounds, which resulted in 14 matches, many persons believe that the CCC, the selection of the players and the CCC lack integrity. Half of them are not attending colleges and universities, and the CC is becoming a dumping ground
Mm-hmm.
for rejects from the territories.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to address those things for me, please.
Yeah. First, let's start with the CCC. Um, the If you're gonna have CCC in the first class setup, you gotta have them like a professional unit, right? Even though it's quote unquote students going, um, you can have a team coming to compete in the first class, and they start practicing for this training for this tournament several weeks before the tournament, right? You have to have a whole different setup in which, because your integrity of your tournament will be put on thing, because now you got a team just playing to play games and not really competing, right? And the whole one of the biggest issues in our cricket is the standard of our cricket, right? So they will have to take a hard look as how they're going to organize this CCC to make sure it is a competitive unit. How they go about it, they got to do it in a professional manner, like if they all the other teams are similar to all the other teams. um and maybe they need not, maybe they don't need to fool themselves and keep calling this just as a university thing, that they would come out and say, okay, we're going to integrate with the university guys X number of seasoned cricketers into the team.
But that's the issue some persons have, because they are seeing the CC team as a dumping ground for rejects.
Mhm.
And I believe, in my view, is that instead of have the CC team, why don't have an associate team that can afford it? I don't know if Jersey can afford it or Canada, but as an associate team that can afford it, why don't come and let them play as an A team?
Yeah, well, I mean, people have raised that before, that why if it's possible for us to get an A team from some one of the top nations, or or like say Ireland get to come and play, or Netherlands can play in the first class tournament. You know, some of the top associates that would that have good cricketers that would be competitive, very competitive at this level. You know, rather than have a team that obviously not competing, but it sounds nice. They have the student athlete playing in the first class tournament. You know,
Yeah.
until
So,
CCC until
what you? Yeah, go ahead, Basil.
I say until CCC shows an inclination that they have. I mean, a school playing a 50 over, that's one thing. But playing 4-day cricket is a whole different ball game.
Yes. And first responder is saying, Athena, the goodness of love, she loves cricket.
Mhm.
Okay. Dane said the CCC should be renamed the Cricket West Indies Board 11. I don't think a name change is going to really what you
No,
know, the bigger picture is
it's
that
the
it's
whole
really the integrity of the team
yes,
and
the structure.
the dumping ground for rejects. So
Yes.
a name change will just be a name change, in my
Yeah, you need
opinion.
you need you need a clear vision as to how you want this team to be constituted, and how this, so they can be a competitive participant in the tournament. And if you're looking to encourage university students to play the cricket, it's another place for them to develop their it's a place for them to develop their game. How you go about doing that will be the most important thing.
Yes, because you don't want somebody to be dropped from the Barbados 11 or the Jamaican 11 or the Guyanese 11,
And they
dropped
find
from the
themselves
squad,
in
and
CC.
then they all of a sudden they are in the CCC team. There's no integrity. What do you think about the 14 rounds? If that should go through, but Mile Bascom said they are considering it.
That's a lot of low standard cricket in my view. you know,
It is the same year.
I
Not
mean, it's too much low standard cricket.
too much
Or,
low
or, or,
standard
I
cricket.
mean, you hear on one end, you hear people say that, yeah, we our guys got to play more cricket. Yes, but we can't be playing more of the low standard cricket. Now, if you're gonna tell me, you, I mean, we spoke about this in the past. You posited it. I like the idea where you talked about getting players from other parts of the world to be filtered into each team, a la like when county cricket used to have the foreign players. So guys who might be just off the scene, who are still playing serious first class cricket, etc., or guys who are on the verge, that would be available, that would, to lift the standards of the cricket, because West Indies board doesn't have to pay for this, and
But I don't. But it's in the regulation, But I think it said that the board, the regional board, would have to take up the expense, but they can get a player from overseas. So it's in the regulation, but the regional board have to take up
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
expense.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Just like how they contract 15 players, they would just knock out maybe two of them and bring in two overseas guys from other parts of the world into the team. I think those are things we need to seriously look at because we have to improve the level, the standard of play in our first class cricket. If Because in my view, because of the standard of our first class cricket, I feel nobody should ascend to test cricket, for example, without going through the 18 process. Because that jump from the first class to the testing in our case, I mean, it's similar in other parts of the world. It's too steep. It's too steep a climb, and we need
But,
to
but
make.
Basil, I look at that and I heard that, but then I look, cause there's a prime case study right now, and I'm not picking on anyone.
Mm-hmm,
Kevin Imlach.
mm-hmm.
I've never performed in the A team, but yet still is in the West Indies team.
Exactly.
If we are going by that logic, he should not be there.
No, he should not. I agree. And let me tell you, people wanted to eat my head off when Mikel Louis made all the runs in the first class. I said 18.
Well, I said testing, Basil, but
Yeah,
it's
you
okay.
remember,
It's okay to disagree.
if you remember, we had this count, and I said 18,
Right.
right? I said 18 because I saw some things, and it actually manifested when he played in the test about how he gets onto that front foot
Yeah.
and plants and so on and so forth. And I didn't see no back foot game. And going through the 18 process, those things would have been identified for him to continue to develop that would make him more ready for the test level. So he doesn't get in the test level and looks good. One thing he has already is the ability to bat for a long period of time, which you want, but you have to be able to put pressure back on the bowlers at the highest level. You can't just be there. So yeah, I feel, and here we have to be able. When you say you're gonna do that, yeah, that is a structure, and you have to stick to it. So yes, a Kevin in Black should not be in the setup, because he hasn't done anything at the 18 level.
Okay. And now your TV is saying that he think the regional tournaments are too short, and that debate is always going to rage. There are some persons who are always going to say it is sufficient. Some are going to say
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't need to be longer. And if it's going to be longer, it shouldn't be the same players, but the very best of the best competing
Mm-hmm.
in those runs. As you made the point, 14 matches is a lot of low class, a low level, low
Yeah,
level.
I mean, then we have the 10 rounds in
Yeah,
the
well,
past.
yeah, well, and because for me, Basil, persons are gonna say, well, you need to give the youngsters a chance. My position, if you can't make your regional team,
You can't
you're,
make it.
you're not good enough. So,
Exactly.
so there shouldn't be a chance for you. You need to raise your level so that you
Exactly.
can make your
Exactly.
regional team. So
Exactly.
I do not. My ideal situation is for the 6 teams to play 2 rounds of matches and you get 10 games. That
Correct.
is my ideal
I
situation.
agree. I agree.
If you want to have a final playoff between 1 and 2, then fine. But if you can't make your regional team, you are not good enough. So you should
Correct.
not be playing first
Yeah,
class cricket.
exactly. If you can, exactly. And this is where, rather than saying, "Oh, you got to give the youngsters a chance," and so on, this is where the integrity of your selection system has to come into play, because we all know in the territories there is always this malfeasance in the selection, that sometimes some young players should get a chance in the team, and for whatever malfeasance, they're not getting into the team, right? You're gonna play a guy who's 35 years old that ain't going nowhere, and you got a 23-year-old doing a similar thing, right? Those are the kind of things we gotta weed out.
Yes. Mr. Casanova is saying that we need to invite a Bangladeshi third team or a Zimbabwe team to come and play in our 4-day league, just to switch things up for a change. Well,
Yes.
that's a view that a lot of persons express.
Mm-hmm.
Christian Fechu Damo is saying, don't agree with you. That's okay, fine. The more you're doing something, the better you get.
No, no,
I agree with that. You're going to get the better the more you do something, but it also goes, and it's okay for you to disagree with me, you know. And I agree with the second part of your statement.
exactly.
But I hope you'll agree with me that the more you do the wrong thing,
Correct.
is the worse you're gonna get.
Exactly.
So because the standard is poor, the reason why the standard is poor is because of poor technique, poor quality. So having poor techniques and doing something at poor quality for an extended period won't get you better. If the quality risen though, you are going to be better. Basil, a quick response to that?
Yeah, you gotta get the quality, playing quality to lift your standard because look, we've seen this before. We've had all these spinners as an example dominating in our first class cricket, and when we throw them out to the international cricket, they can't even get anybody out, right? When they could bowl on a good, when they have to bowl on a good wicket. So not more you do it, you gotta be challenged. You gotta be challenged.
You gotta be challenged. Kevin Broodram is saying that too much chop and changes have us where we are in Test cricket. After every series, our stories, we are a young team and growing. Are there too many chop and changes, Basilis? Are there too many calls for younger players all the while? My position has always been this. The West Indies senior team is supposed to be a winning machine. And whether the person is 1 or 99, you pick them based on performance, not age. Because the senior team must be a winning machine.
I agree totally.
Yeah, okay.
This is a meritocracy.
Yeah, man.
Elite sport is a meritocracy, full stop.
Yes, and I always make the point, and persons challenging me on this. There's no elite team in the world, whether international team or teams like Manchester City or, Borussia Dortmund. All of those teams, the administration have one thing in common: ruthless. Ruthless. If you are not performing, you are on your way out.
Exactly.
Dane is saying the idea of playing the best against the best, like they did season, was a good idea. Do you like that idea, Basil? The best?
Let me tell you. The thing with the best of the best, I didn't see the intensity in those games that I would want to see, like you would see when you play for your country.
Right.
I mean, the idea, in the theory, in the concept, it sounded good, but you didn't get the results in terms of the intensity, and that's what we have to be driving for.
Okay. So the best of the best, you want more intensity.
Yes.
But I have an idea of the best in a best.
This is what I would do. This so-called best of the best. The test team will be in the competition.
Of course, Basil.
So now, when you playing against the test team, they're intent because you want to show them I belong in the test team. Right?
And so I would have the test team, and I would also have like a combined islands team. You remember the original combined islands team? So you'd have the windward and the leewards, and that will create some passion too. And then you can probably have the A team as the third team.
Right.
Or even the champion as the fourth team.
Correct. Something like that.
So
in the tournament, you as a national team, you have two incentives. One, to get into this tournament to play against the test team, and also your prize winning money just to win the tournament. So you bring, because we have to be creative to raise the level. And I believe playing the test team, because I said that when the first time we did this, I said, why don't they have the test team playing in this tournament? Right? Because
Basil, Bobby is saying that we still haven't played an A team since the ending of the first class season, and nobody else is there to challenge in Louis for the opening spot. So, although you are saying that you think he should go through the A team, but then
actually there was supposed to be an A team series
South Africa,
but it's been pushed back to April, May of next year. right? Because as we note, right now South Africa A is playing against Bangladesh, but I mean Sri Lanka A. So that was the clash there with South Africa A, because they're currently playing against Sri Lanka A.
And Athena make a good point here. A donkey in a horse race is still a donkey, regardless of the length of the.
Exactly. That's a great analogy. Great
A
analogy.
brilliant analogy. Urban Thomas is saying, "Good morning, Mr. Brown. Just joined. I am at work, but I'm listening and learning more about the game. Thank you very much, Urban Thomas, and we're really
Excellent.
happy that
Excellent.
we can enlighten you very much. Louis just need to learn from those 5 test matches and try to play as much first class games for now rather than playing some low class T20 league. Um, you, you know Bobby Bones. Bobby is our Bobby
Yeah,
Brown.
yeah, I
You know.
know it's Bobby.
Yeah, but
Uh,
is he
but
joining
Bobby,
is he joining the player CC club,
Bobby going
Basil?
in,
Is
Bobby,
Basil?
Bobby going in, Mr. Man's pocket there. Bobby, forget the man is a professional cricketer, right? And you can't tell them guys that you don't go play no T20. Are you kidding me? That's where the money is.
And Mr. Casanova say, I want the best of the best and the academy team play in the second I want the best of the best and the academic team to play in the second round. Sheldon, they're saying that West Indies destroy their players by not giving contract to stipulations. Example, Eti Puran.
No,
I
that's not true. That's not.
no, yeah, that
That,
yes.
that person don't even realize Puran turned on a CWI contract, and Hetmeyer turned down being contracted to the Guyana franchise.
Yeah, yes,
After
yeah,
he lost the West Indies contract, he was on the Guyana thing, and then when it came up, he told to he turned down being on the contract for Guyana, so he would just play for Guyana match by match, so a match fee. And what that person don't realize, what both players did in that instant is to be free agents, so they would not be under contract duty for the West Indies, and they could go play their T20 leagues as they desire.
yeah. What and I welcome everyone in this community. It is good, but you know, really and truly, Sheldon, there, and we are glad that you are here. We are happy, and we hope that you stay here and continue to contribute. But let's get the information first, please. Because let's get the information and get the information correctly, because we do a lot of research. We watch a lot of cricket and
Mm-hmm.
follow the cricket.
Correct.
So and we know what's going on. So
Mm-hmm.
please, when you
And the thing about the cartoon, the information is readily available in the public sphere, what we bring to the forum.
yes, because we only react to the news.
Correct.
Every nation playing. What do you think about this one? Kevin Broodman is basically saying that every nation is playing their best team, while the West Indies have 3 different teams on the park. What do you think?
Well, in West Indies case, we have a bunch of guys who play white ball cricket that have no interest in playing test cricket. So how can you force them to play? Other nations, their guys that play test cricket also are playing all the formats. We have it the opposite way around. The unfortunate thing, the quote unquote, some of our more talented batters don't want to play test cricket. So what can we do about it? We could take this back before Puran and Hetmeyer came on the scene. Evan Lewis. Many of us used to say, why don't we get Evan Lewis to play in the test team? Because he was scoring heavily in ODI and T20. Why we don't get Evan Lewis in the test team? I used to ask that question. And then we find out Evan Lewis have no interest in playing test cricket.
Yes, and I heard this young lady who works at the CPL. She's the one that is always there. I don't know her name, but she's always there on commentary. You probably know her name,
Oh,
Basil.
you're talking about Jordan, the woman Jordan?
Jordan. I
Yes.
heard she talking about the entire Caribbean, and I was shocked. I was bewildered that she now becomes the voice of the entire Caribbean, that the entire Caribbean wants Shea Hope to be playing in the test team. And I'm wondering, where is this lady? If you
Yeah.
run a poll right now, it's 50-50 at best.
Yes.
And, and I just think that was irresponsible for her to be on here making those same comments, and the same person that she's talking about, Shea Hope, is saying that I'm not ready for test cricket.
Correct.
And I just think those things are irresponsible, and we must try not to be like that, man. The
Yeah.
old Caribbean, that
We
was reckless
yeah.
at best.
Well, sometimes my Bajan friends sometimes think that they are the center of the cricket world when it comes to the Caribbean. You have some like that. And
Yeah.
maybe she felt she is one of those that fall into that category that thinks because she is a Bajan and talking from a Bajan perspective, she's speaking for the entire cricketing Caribbean.
Okay,
I mean,
Basil.
first and foremost, you need to speak to the guy himself and find out why is he not playing Test cricket. That's
Yes.
rather than we speculating. Let's hear what Shea Hope has to say, because it's the same thing we always speculated about Puran and so on. And what was interesting, I just it made me remember something. I listened to Johnny Grave on an interview he had with the guys from England podcast, and Johnny said something very interesting when he said about the test team. He said we got to go with the young guys because the Hopes and Purans are, they're not going to be playing test cricket. And I jumped because I said, oh, all of you guys calling for Hope, I hope you all heard this program with Johnny.
Yeah. Johnny, don't come here now. They are afraid because we bought some steep bouncers here. And crushed to Yorkers. We bought some Joel Garner delivery here. So
Yes, yes, yes.
Johnny and Dr. Shallow, they don't come here. They are afraid of this wicket. They are afraid of this wicket, man.
They need to turn
Uh,
up. They need to turn up.
they need to turn up. And
Yeah.
Basil, now to the term extension. Dr. Shallow, at the press conference, they said they are looking for term extension. I'm in agreement with this, Basil, because I think that 2-year terms are definitely too short, because
Mhm.
you really has to play the political game when it's a 2-year term.
I agree.
You don't want to piss off anybody, so you
Correct.
have to play the political game. When it's a 4-year term, you can do your thing, pissed off a man for 2 years, and then the
Yes.
next 2 years, they
Yes.
would now see the
See
result.
the results. I agree. I agree 100%. 2 years is not enough to turn stuff around, and especially when you're swimming in this sea of sharks with so much politics and
Right.
politicking in West Indies cricket. Within 2 years, it reminds me here in the United States, the Congress people, they are perpetually running. So the donors, the big money people, they are beholden to because they're only there for 2 years. So
Only
they come in, they're starting to look towards next election. So they're going to do things rather than look after their constituents a lot of times, because they're always on this constant election cycle. So I agree. I agree with Shallow. Shallow actually said, I heard him prior, when they had their last AGM, um, prior, he said that that was one of the things on the agenda, and it was voted down. They have to have more discussions because they wanted to increase it, I think, to 3 years or something like that, and it was voted down. So I found that unfortunate.
yeah.
That
Well,
the board.
let's welcome Andre. It looks like
Yes, yes.
yeah, welcome Andre. So
Andre look
Andre,
like
what is what is
he's talking from work because he see Katani shirt and tie.
he looks like he's in the principal office today. Andre,
Yeah.
what is your reaction to the term limit? I think it should be at least 4 or even 5 years, but
Yes.
4 years minimum. What is your reaction to it?
Yeah, morning, Carlton, and morning to all the viewers. Well, in terms of I very much agree with the 4-year term. Sometimes I think 2 years is too little of a time to achieve a lot of things that you'd want to achieve. So I am in agreement with a 4-year term. Sometimes 2 years, you probably don't even achieve half of the objective that you want to achieve. So 4 years, I think, is sufficient time for any president of any organization to achieve most of the objectives that they set out to achieve.
You look very decent today, man. You really look like a professional. Basil, I want to your favorite subject.
Yes, the
The
women's
women
team.
team, Basil.
Yes.
We saw that women team that was selected, and I'm going to see if I have it here. This is the West Indies T20 international women team to play in the World Cup. We're glad that that team came back. I mean, the entire Caribbean rejoiced at
Yes.
that team decided to come out of retirement. I remember one Friday evening, I was on a hotel rooftop. And while I was sitting there, Ailey Matthews' agent came and he sat down beside me and said, "You know, it's my girl is the captain for the West Indies team now." I said, "What?" "Yeah, man." He said, "Stephanie Taylor gone and Datin resigned." You know, so so that news hit me that Friday evening very, very hard, you know, because there was no official release at that time. But
Right.
the agent of Ailey Matthews would have
Yeah.
known it, you know, but we welcome back Datin because all the argument about Datin and Matthews not seeing eye to eye, and Datin didn't believe that Ailey Matthews should have superseded her and so on. That
Yeah.
is no water under the bridge, and we're glad to see Datin back in the picture. But
Exactly.
there's a squad on the screen, Basil. Matthews, Campbell, Alain, Connell, Nerissa Crofton, Deandra Dutton, as we said, Affley Fletcher, Chanel Henry, Zadia James, Quiana Joseph, Mandy Mangru, Amishi Munisar, Chedi Nation, Charisma Maramat, and Stephanie Taylor. Basil, take it away for us.
There are 4 players on there I have serious problems with. James, Mangru, Munisar, and Nation. Anybody for Nation. I don't want to see Nation around West Indies cricket, period. Right? Nation doesn't deserve to play for West Indies anymore. Now, in Munisar, we have another woman in Guyana that can bowl better than her, Millington. Millington spins the ball. We already have the straight ball spinner in Ramrap. We don't need another one. We want one who could turn spin the ball in Millington. Mangru can't get the ball off the square. I would have picked the girl Boyce from Trinidad, who is a way better wicket keeper, who could hit the ball out the park. And actually, I was surprised when she played in the regional tournament how good a bowler she is. Right? And Zayda James. Where are we going with Zayda James? Zayda James has not shown us anything that she can play at that level right now. We continue to throw that young lady into the deep end, and she is not coming up. Right? Those are the main ones I got problems with.
What are your views on Nerissa Crofton? Because that name was thrown at me. I don't know that name.
That's the young lady from the Leewards. Seam bowler. She's the same young lady. Is it Crofton or the Clack? There's one called Claxton or Crofton.
No, Claxton. I know Claxton went to no, she never went to Australia. She went to Bangladesh and she went to Sri Lanka and Pakistan. But this
Crofton play. I think isn't Crofton from is Windwards or Leeward she's from. But I hear. No, you bring in Nerissa Crofton. What happened to young Wilmont? You carry Wilmont on these tours, and now you throw she one side, and you bring in somebody else. What is your plans? You know, and these are the things I wanted the coach to answer these questions. Now, you have Keanu Joseph, who is woefully unfit to play cricket at the highest level. And this is a World Cup we're going to. What are you going to be doing in the interim, at least to help her to get her fitness at least to some decent levels that are required to play in a World Cup?
You know, before I come to Andre, and I will be going, I think, St. Elizabeth this weekend, this Sunday, to play some cricket. You know, but Shady Nation, I can't. I agree with you about Basil. I cannot see what's the reason, what's the rationale behind Shady Nation
And just let me say
really
this
in this
quickly.
team.
Let's
I
say
know you say about Mangru, but I would have gone ahead with Mangru over Shady Nation.
Mhm.
I would have gone with Rashada Williams over Shady Nation.
Exactly.
I know Rashada Williams is struggling in the T20 format,
Mhm.
but I'd have gone with her over Shady Nation. I just do not understand the selection of Shady Nation. I also don't understand the selection of Nerissa Crofton. The coach spoke about how well she did in the camp that they had, But
Yeah.
but this name is just thrown at me, and when I don't know a name and you don't know a name, it just pluck out of thin air. And if she goes to the World Cup and she does well, we are going to say, "Well done, coach, for finding a
Of
talent."
course.
We're
I
going to
mean,
say that.
hey,
So
I will eat crow. I have no problems with that. No,
yes,
and you know something? You talking about camp. I heard not Mangru, Munisar was like the leading wicket taker in the camp. No, Millington didn't get to go to the camp, right?
but Basil, the numbers are there, and anybody can check it because it is there
Yes.
in the regional T20 Blaze that played earlier this year. Millington get 11 wickets. The leading wicket taker, Ashmini Munisar, got 6 wickets. You might be saying that, well, probably she's more expensive. All of her numbers, her economy is better than
Economy,
Munisar,
she
her
tight, tight,
strike
tight.
rate is better than Munisar,
Yes,
her average is better than Munisar,
exactly.
and she got 11 wickets. And,
Correct.
and the thing about it, you are a Guyanese, Millington is a Guyanese, Munisar is a Guyanese, so no
Yes,
one can say that we are talking against Guyanese here. We are
correct.
talking about performance
Performance.
and not the name. And
Exactly.
so we're very shocked that Millington is not part of this setup. And this young lady must be wondering what she needs to do.
Yeah, I
What
mean,
she needs to
I,
do.
I, I have heard that she is talking about quitting the game because year after year she performs and she don't even get as much of a call to go to a camp. Not even selected in the West Indies team, but even get called to go to a camp. And if you look at her record year after year, she is always probably in the top 3 in terms of economy rate year after year after year. So I feel for the young lady that she is saying to herself, what more do I have to do?
Yeah, yeah, and you can't be the leading bowler in a tournament.
And,
She was
and
the
you
lead
can't even go to the camp.
and can't go to the camp. Desmond Haynes said in 2022 when they were picking the World Cup team, we have to pick Chase because Chase was the leading batsman in the CPL.
Mm-hmm.
And if he scored the most runs in the CPL, then why don't we pick? We have to pick him.
Mm-hmm.
So why aren't we picking Millington, the young lady from
Mm-hmm.
Guyana, to be a part? Basil, I need to talk to her, Basil. I need to talk to her because I
Yeah,
cannot
yeah.
understand.
Um,
I cannot.
I spoke to her. I have her information because I spoke to her. Of my friend put me on to her because I was supposed to help her out with something,
Yes,
fitness wise, and we spoke, but she hasn't gotten back to me. But
and
I didn't get a chance. We didn't because we only spoke about the what the issue she had at hand.
mm,
So we didn't get to talk about the cricket, but the next time, hopefully, when we speak, I will be able to ask her about her cricket and so on. I know she probably don't want to come on the media and say these things because she don't want to get blacklisted or that kind of
so
stuff.
we can ask question and she can give answer that
Yeah, yeah,
won't
yeah, yeah,
blacklist her because
yeah.
we are intelligent enough to know the
Correct. Yes.
situation. It's not that we are going to ask her
Mhm.
to come here and criticize Cricket
Mhm.
West Indies. We'll never do that. We are
Right.
interested in the child career. Another selection on this team now. Clearly, we'd have said a lot about Natasha McLean here, but on this occasion,
Yeah, we can't
I
talk.
don't think we can really
No,
talk about
no,
her,
no,
but
not at all.
and so I am disappointed because I
Yeah.
was
Yes.
really looking forward for Natasha McLean because she's one of the genuine six hitter in this
Correct.
team,
In
but
in,
it,
in the
it never go
division.
our way.
Yeah.
So Basil, overall, Zadia James, you and I would have said in the past, Zadia James should not be in the team, and you said that she should not be in this World Cup team. But I am not so sure now. I'm not so sure now. When you look at everything at the recently concluded Women's CPL, you still share that view that she should not be in the team?
Yeah, because you know who I would pick in front of her? I picked the girl Latchman, who is a more effective spin bowler. Zayda James ain't gonna do nothing for us with the bat. So we could forget that. Anything she gonna supposedly gonna contribute is both in the field and if she gonna bowl. And in my view, I will take the leg spinner, Latchman, than her. We saw Latchman, this young girl, bowl in a last over defending 3 runs and took it to 3 balls, bowling against world class players. This young lady didn't flinch, and that's an attribute it's hard to coach. That is either you got it sometimes or you don't, right? I mean, I in terms of Latchman, the areas where she is down and that has to be worked on. Her fielding, her athletics, her fitness also. But if we're talking about bowler, I gotta go with Latchman.
Thank you very much, Basil. I'll take some of your comment. Carlton Aman, good to have you here. Good morning to you. Athena is agreeing with you, Basil. He said that Zayda James must have files on the selectors.
I like that. I like that. I'm coming up with some good ones this morning.
Yes. Then is saying the downside with having a 4-year term is if an ineffective president is elected, it means that 4 years will be wasted in the progress of West Indies cricket. And I got
Uh,
that point, but there should be some measure
yeah,
of
you must have a
able to
mechanism where you
recall
could
the
do a no
president or
confidence
something.
and throw the president out. Yeah, of course, we gotta have a check and balance.
We have to have check and balance.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Okay, so thank you, Naya TV. He's saying that Nerissa Crafton is
Yes,
from St.
I
Lucia.
know of the place of Windwards, and I
And
remember
she,
her
yes,
now.
she represent the Windwards.
Yes.
Yes. And Sol Forex is a good while I haven't seen Sol Forex here, no man. Good to see you. He's saying that nation performances were woeful. Does not deserve to be in the squad.
Nation is the luckiest cricketer in the world, boy.
Yeah. Athena is saying, what about Samara Ramadan? So Samara
Uh,
Ramnat, as you know, is the under 19 captain.
don't let me throw she in the deep end yet. She going to the World Cup, the under 19 World Cup next year. Let her put her foot in there. Let's see how she compete against the best in the world at her age group, and then we can talk.
Yes, should have been an emotional pick, but I do not think that she's ahead of Munisar. She's not ahead of Millington.
No,
She's not
no.
ahead of Latchman, Nia Latchman. But
Mm.
she would have been a pick that would have been an emotional one, and
Yes.
and a lot of persons would have rejoiced at her pick.
Oh yeah,
Well,
you did.
well, well,
You
well,
saw, you saw our whole family contingent there.
yes,
It was lovely. It was lovely. It was lovely.
yes,
Yeah, like
yes.
the
It
whole
was
family
indeed lovely.
supporting her. Yes.
Yeah. Charlie X is saying that Flafania should have at least been at the camp. We agree with you. She should have
Exactly.
definitely been
Exactly.
there. And
Exactly.
it for those of you who don't know, it's Flafana
That's
Millington
Millington.
is her name.
That's
It's the
Millington.
same Millington young
Yes.
lady that we are talking about. Good morning to you, Keith Aaron. Keith Aaron is saying, welcome, Basil. Welcome. Basil, your final comment, please.
Yeah. I just want to say, as you mentioned, my dad. Today, I want to wish my dad a happy born day wherever he is.
Okay.
Because today he would have been 91 years old.
Okay.
Yes,
Happy
yes,
birthday to your
yes,
happy birthday to your father, to the great Basil Butcher
yes.
Senior.
Yeah, but uh, Carlton, I just the questions regarding the selection policy. I think both of us agree that that structure can be a very good one, but it's going to be dependent on its implementation, the personnel that's going to be in it, the accountability. the West Indies women. I wish them all the best. I was disappointed that I didn't see young Wilmot in that team. You know, I like young Wilmot. I think she's an exciting prospect and needs to be given opportunities because that's the only way she's gonna get better. You know, and I think she's also one of the players, you know, that is very fit, that can run around the field and so on and so forth. That, you know, looking at the West Indies team, that is a great concern of mine. Their lack of fitness that I saw of many of the players in the women's CPL, you know. So we'll see how they do when they go to UAE in the World Cup, and maybe hopefully, Carlton, we will eat crow based on our reservations of certain players in the team. It would be nice that we would end up eating crow.
My position, Basil, is that when I do shows like these and I express myself about the team, definitely, for me, I would not have Nation there. I would definitely have Fafana ahead of Munisar. For me, Zayda James is 50-50. I know you don't think that she should be there. I'm looking forward to see what Crafton offered because I don't know. Hope that she surprise us all. And while I made these...
She's a seamer.
Yeah?
She's a seamer.
Okay. And while I come here and I say that I would not have picked Nation, for example, I hope that she make a few hundreds in the World Cup, you know. No, that is how I am. Once I'm done here today,
yeah,
it is now time to support the squad.
Correct.
I would have expressed my views. Person would have known my views on the squad. But after today now, it is now time to support those players because in the end, Basil, only those players can win the game for us. So I make my objections, but there comes a time. Maybe I will continue for a few days, but when the World Cup really zony like a week before the World Cup,
right,
you won't have me criticizing the squad.
Yeah, you're looking now to see how the player is gonna perform.
Yes.
And then we give our post analysis.
On our player ratings and pick our playing 11. So Naya TV saying, I think you're a bit harsh on Zayda James. It looked like she has been around forever, but she's still only 19. No,
that's not the issue.
That's absolutely not the issue, Naya TV. Age is never an issue. And you know that Zayda James have played 14 T20 international for the West Indies. 14. Her highest score is 21 not out, and she averaged less than 10. Average less than 10, you know. With the ball in T20, she's averaging 136. 14 matches, she have, averaging 136. She have only got 1 wicket in the 14 matches. So to say we are hard on her,
this is all about performance.
It's all about performance. And
I met the young lady. I met her and I complimented her. I met her in Florida. So we were at a hotel when the team was coming in, and I stopped her. I stopped young Wilmot too, because I saw both of them play in the under 90 tournament, and I liked what I saw of James. But the step up to the international, I have not seen what I hoped I would have been able to see based on what I saw initially, right? And so therefore, I don't play sentiments when it comes to this cricket. And I don't think of even again if she played in the women's CPL, there was nothing there she did at all.
No, I have to put Naya TV in the player CC today. I'm gonna play a CC. Naya TV gone to play a CC, you know. Yeah, he got to play a CC. Salvex4 saying that I wish the girls well. Need some transparency in the selection process. And that's it comes back Salvex to say before, during the reign of Jimmy Adams as the director of cricket, after every team was selected, we were able to interrogate the coach and the head selector. We had a lead selector at that time. What happened in the press conference on Thursday? These persons who attend the press conference, who was in the room, and the ones who were able to ask questions, it appears to me they don't know much about the women's
No,
team. They don't
exact,
know much.
and that
So
is
they cannot
ask
ask
the
Diaz any question.
yeah, because they don't know the players, but they might know the few big name players, but all the rest of them, they can't interrogate and ask how come player X played versus player Y and those things, because someone like me and you who look at women's cricket, regional cricket, etc., know these players. And so therefore we could challenge the coach a lot more than they would. The coach
Yeah.
got away with saying things about camp. And I would say, coach, you picking somebody based on what you see in the camp. Come on,
They
coach.
know why they never allow me to ask any questions at that press conference, because I was gonna mash it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the persons were going to. I was gonna bowl some steep bouncers, not mash up. I was gonna bowl some very steep
And
bouncers,
that's what we need from the
some
journalists,
very
because that,
steep bouncers. I was going to bowl, not mash up. Keith Aaron is saying, Carlton, say hello to your wife. Hope she serve a hot cup of coffee as usual. Oh, she did serve some chocolate this morning and some melon.
all right.
So she served a hot cup of coffee and melon, but she's at work today. She has gone off to work. Thank you, Basil, for being here. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Have a wonderful day. Take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones.